So welcome everyone to phase two, to our second discussion. Um, Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than I typically do. So I'm going to focus on very hyper-specific examples of tools that connect and integrate into AI. And I'm going to focus on hyper-specific examples that are they're broad in the sense that we've all encountered them. Many of us use them. But I want to show you how deeply every industry is integrating with AI. In the next session, I'm really going to be focusing on how to create custom GPTs, how to integrate some of these tools, and so how to do more of the advanced side. But this session, I just want to show you a little bit deeper. I talked to everyone about what AI is, what you can do, how you can use it. Now let's look at some of the integration. Um, so, um, so let's play nicely together. So the tools that we're going to be looking at is Zapier, Canva, Salesforce Einstein, and Microsoft Copilot for nonprofits. So I absolutely understand not everyone is on Salesforce, 100%. However, the tool or the example is not Salesforce. It's going to be, of course, but it's not Salesforce. It's how CRMs are integrating into AI. And that's going to, Salesforce is the most cutting edge with it right now, but every single one of your CRMs, including Excel, if you're rocking it old school, are going to be utilizing AI in their data mining practices. So we're going to talk about that, or I should say analytic predictive practices. So, so before I jump into any of that, does anyone have any questions as we kick off? Is there anything you would like me from my last session that I can be more clear about? Anything at all before I kick off? Okay. Now I will not be able to see the chat very easily because I just see the banner at the top. So if you have questions, please use the hand raise function or just take yourself off of mute and talk over me. That would be great. Okay, so integrating tools with AI. So nonprofits can integrate AI tools like Microsoft Copilot, Zapier, Canva, and Salesforce to specifically automate routine tasks, enhance communication, and personalize interactions with our audiences. So when we talk about these integrations, what we're really talking about a lot of the case is, in a lot of cases, is how do we streamline our workflow? And it's not one more tool, it's how do I get this tool to talk to that one? How do I get this to automatically happen because I did that? So I start a, oh, there we go. So I start a campaign in Salesforce, and because of that, my backup folder in Google Drive is created, or my backup folder in SharePoint is automatically created because I've got those workflow rules. So we'll dig into that a little bit more. So kind of show of show of hands, um or kind of raise your fictitious hand. How many people have ever heard or used Zapier? Okay, so I see two, three. Okay, so I see a couple hands, four, five, six. Wonderful. So Zapier, which can be pronounced Zapier, Zapier, there's at the Zapier annual conference, they had a whole breakout group where people just fought over it. It was kind of cute. But Zapier is a program. It's an online program that connects other programs together. So it connects Gmail to Salesforce. It connects Salesforce to your calendar. It connects Google Drive to Um, I'm trying to think. It connects Google Drive to Paylocity. It connects Concur to QuickBooks. It connects Slack to whatever you're looking for. So Zapier is a connecting program. And the function of Zapier is to automate workflows. So create automated workflows that connect apps and services, such as adding survey responses to a database. So one of the ways that we use it is we have a automatic or a name badge. So all of our name badges, people can tap them at conferences and it brings up this intake form. And then the intake form through Zapier automatically flows into Salesforce for that specific day's campaign. So it will identify what campaign that individual has open on that day and add those responses into it. Um, that in itself is eliminating about 15 steps we have to do, not to mention the transcribing of people physically signing in at resource fairs or events. But we also don't have to do the bulk upload. We don't have to do the mapping. All of that is automatically created. There we go. Um, Now, inside of organizations, you can reduce those manual tasks by automating data entry. You can automate media posts going out. Canva can do that as well. And you can even automate email responses. So I have a Zap. That's what the action is called. So I have a Zap set up that it monitors our main FND email. And anytime someone emails us and the word help is in the body or subject of the email, it automatically shoots out that email to ChatGPT. It has a pre-designed prompt, and then it pulls that response back from ChatGPT and puts it in my drafts so that I can review it later that day, quickly edit a few things, and then give them a really nice response of we're here, we're listening, we're going to serve you. I'm connecting you with our program specialist in this area, but here are some resources to work on so far. And that's custom to their need, but the prompt is what the Zap is based on going to ChatGPT. So that's why I say this is phase two. This is learning a little bit more in depth. We're not necessarily going to go into how to do these zaps in this conversation. It's exposure. I want you guys to understand what's out there, what's available. Um, so integration capacity, connecting various platforms used by nonprofits, such as fundraising platforms, CRM systems, social media. So we're in the middle of a capital campaign right now. We purchased a building and now we get to realize we need to renovate the building. So we're in the middle of a capital campaign to get funds for renovation. And I use Zapier to be able to set up every time someone makes a donation into our donation portal, it automatically grabs their name, their donation amount. It creates an email template, or it takes an email template, sends them a customized email based on the demographic information they fill out, and then thanking them for that. And then it's going to continuously send out messages to everyone in that database, inviting them to our grand opening in December. So it's a great way to just automate those things that we wish we had five more people on staff to do. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Angela.
there was just a question in the chat, and since you can't see that, I figured I'd interrupt for a second. But Neil is asking if Zapier's encryption, if its encryption is adequate for handling personally identifiable information.
So I would absolutely say what I would say is yes. Huge corporations, much larger than ours, are using Zapier with complete confidence. So I would say yes. Again, best recommendations is like build your Zap. So my Zap that pulls that information from the emails that I receive, um, it's not pulling over the person's name into it. So like that's one of those slight things that I edit because I believe in scrubbing personal data as much as possible, but it's a very well respected, very trusted program. It's not a fly by night. It's one of the largest integration programs on the internet.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
Um,
Joe, it's Nora
yeah,
Thompson. For the donor stuff, does it then take the information from that donor and put it into your donor database that so it tracks it like a case, and they could say, well, they donated every 6 months, or God, wouldn't that be great? But something like that, so that that piece isn't, and then you can customize. These people are in the $1,000 range, and we want to bump them and stuff. Uh, that's a Salesforce thing, but does
yeah,
it
I'm going
does
to
it
talk about
track it?
that here. But yes, it does. Like, so if you're using um water well for a donor-based system, like where or for a donor base to where you can accept donations, um, you can connect Zapier that every time you get a donation in, it recognizes it, it's checking every couple seconds. So it recognizes it, it pulls over that person's information, and then you can do workflow rules to where you say validate via email. So check the person's email on where they donated from against our records in Salesforce so that we don't create duplicate records. And if there's already a record in Salesforce, I want you to add the new donation under that record. So absolutely. Yeah, it can get as integrated as you want. Super cool. Um, okay, so Canva, let's get creative. So Canva is really interesting with their AI. So they've got Magic Write, which allows you to just again prompt-based writing and will help you come up with content. I don't like their content. It's not strong. But if you're looking for quick social media posts and you have like a sentence you can feed it that of something you want to put out on social media as a graphic, absolutely. It can offer AI enhanced design suggestions. So as you're kind of moving things around the screen, it can help you flush those out. It can help show you your alignment and preferred spacing. It can help with the branding by automatically identifying what is the brand colors in your logo. It can identify patterns in design consistency so that Angela isn't designing something one way and expecting everyone else to be following that same kind of organizational pattern. And then Joe is doing something with completely different design that it is not following the consistent pattern of our organization, the style. It can also help with accessibility. So, one of the big things that I often say about ChatGPT and now Google Gemini, that was Google Bard, is that those sites are completely ADA compliant because they give you flat text. It's what you do with the text that makes it accessible or not. So, when we're designing whether it's a flyer, a graphic, anything, if we're not using alt text, which alt text is what we put behind an image so that screen readers can actually understand what that image is, then it's not going to be accessible. If we're hyper compressing a PDF, so making it really flat, we're going to lose some of that data and some of that readability and accessibility. So inside of the new AI that's built out with Canva, they can actually help with those accessibility standards. They can also help with contrast accessibility. They can help with readability with dyslexic font styles. Like there's a bunch that they can do, and they're taking that pretty seriously. So that's exciting. One of the other things I like about it is the automated social media scheduling and helping push content out to various forms of social media. And it'll help you with identifying times of day with traffic and what's going to be best for your organization. So that's kind of the nice integration on this part. So call me Einstein. Einstein, this cute little fella, he is Salesforce Einstein. It's interesting with Salesforce what they're doing because the base code of Einstein. So, kind of disclaimer. I was actually at Dreamforce, which is Salesforce's national conference. I was at the Dreamforce AI National Conference in November in San Francisco. And there was something like 20,000 participants at that conference. It took up hotels and three entire convention centers. It was wild. Biggest thing I've ever been to. And everything was focused on AI. So I got to see that every single one of the systems that we're integrating with, whether it is form assembly or it is a donation box, donor box, donation system, whether it is Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, is it Google Big Data, Microsoft, everything is integrating into Salesforce, but also other platforms, not just Salesforce. But the big thing that I got to see is that every single one of those partners is focusing on how they're amplifying AI. Now, here's the kicker that I also saw. A lot of those platforms right now, like Asana, we use Asana for project management. Asana does not allow the nonprofit discount subscription to have access to their AI capabilities. Um, there was like two or three other companies that at this point won't give the nonprofit discounts access to their AI. So one of the things to think about with Mr. Einstein over here is predictive analytics. So using AI tools to predict donor behavior, identify potential high value donors, and optimize fundraising strategies. Nora, that's what you're talking about. Part of what you're talking about. Um, Automated customer service. So you can have chatbots where someone reaches out and it automatically through Zapier goes into Salesforce or your customer database, but goes into Salesforce and then they automatically get responses with relevant resources so that they're not kept waiting. It's something that's instant. So if you have form assembly on your website, you've got a form system on your website and that's connected to your CRM. Now with Einstein, you can have personalized communication going out. You can use the personalized communication to tailor custom communication with donors, volunteers, beneficiaries, parents, um, that to focus on messages that are important to them. So at FND, we use a lot of county-based targeting. So we'll pull up everyone that lives in a specific county and we'll do an email out to them through Salesforce and say, hey, we're hosting this event in your area. We would love for you to attend. Now, first, I've got to create a form or a report to show me who is in that county. I've got to use a bunch of filters to identify those specific individuals. I've then got to create a bulk message that is then going to only target the custom query of those individuals for the report I created. That's a bunch of steps. With Einstein, theoretically, it's going to be rolling out this week or next week. So theoretically, and this is the demo that I saw at Dreamforce in November, I can simply tell Einstein, send everyone in Miami-Dade County an email referencing this campaign or this activity and attach the flyer that's inside of the documents for that campaign. And it'll do it without those forms, without those additional attachments. And then data insight, gain actionable insights from your data using AI. So again, I can tell Einstein, hey, what are the fact patterns of the data that I have? What are the most important issues families are facing over the last 6 months? Um, it will also help create narratives. So I can say over the last year of our data, create a narrative for our OSEP project officer for a report that we might be having come up maybe in a couple months, our annual report. So it can help you with creating those reports that we have to do annually, as well as quarterly and quarterly board meetings, annual reports, things like that. So really, really cool the way we're going to be able to use natural speech to access information and not rely as much on I've got to create query sets and data doohickeys to be able to make this work, which is nice. Microsoft Copilot. So I don't know about y'all, but I haven't thought that Microsoft has been innovative since the 90s. I mean, they plateaued out just hard. And so Microsoft owns a little bit less than a majority stakeholder stake in OpenAI that owns ChatGPT. So, give you a quick kind of rundown for a second. So, a couple months ago, OpenAI, there was a hostile takeover from the board. And the board, and this is the scary thing, is OpenAI that owns ChatGPT, they're a nonprofit. So this is like a scary story of what can happen to us, right? So the board came in and they said they had a bunch of backroom conversations and they said, we're getting rid of Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI. We're getting rid of you. We don't like what you're doing. We think you're being dishonest. They had nothing to substantiate their claims. So because Microsoft invested billions, close to $20 billion into OpenAI, they invested all that money. They went over and said to Sam Altman, who's the CEO of ChatGPT, they said, hey, come work for us. Come on over, friend, and bring all of your other friends and all of your coworkers who are really upset about this. So close to 90% of the OpenAI ChatGPT team a couple months ago were this close to all becoming Microsoft partners and Microsoft coworkers because Microsoft did not want to lose that $20 billion stake in a company that was about to go under. So I say all of that to say that ChatGPT is the underlying AI model behind Copilot, behind Browse with Bing. I haven't thought about Bing I mean, since Friends was on TV, and rest in peace, Chandler. And so like I really haven't seen that innovation, and now it's exciting. So some of the things that Microsoft Copilot can do is it can help draft documents. Um, I was opening up a PDF with Bing the other day, still super weird to say, and I asked it to scan through that PDF and write me a summary. And PDF was 20 pages. It did. It was a great summary. I edited a couple things, then sent it to my team. It can look at accessibility features, so enhanced content accessibility, offering AI generated descriptions for images and data, making the information more accessible, right? Um, it can also streamline collaboration by summarizing meeting notes, summarizing email threads and documents to ensure the teams are aligned. One of the other things that I often get lost in is if we say we have a particularly long meeting, leadership meeting, or interagency meeting, I sit on a number of interagency councils, right? And we get these notes and they're pages and pages, and I can't follow the trends of how this person took notes. So I've asked Word through Copilot. So Copilot is built into Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, Word. It's built into everything. So I asked Copilot through Word, hey, pull out the action items that I need to be focusing on. And it did, gave me a list of 10 things that I needed to work on. Instead of me scanning through like 5 pages of notes, and honestly, that person shouldn't be our secretary. It was not very good. So I really want to, and then I'll touch for 1 second on the data insights through Excel. The predictive analytics and the trend-based Excel functions are progressing faster than anything I can see. So we are switching right now from Sage 50 to QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise. And we had multiple layers. So we had like about 8 years of a historical data that we had to bring over. And our accountant was working on it. And she then ran into an issue with the bulk uploads. And we could not bulk upload because our positive pay and negative pay were in the same column through Sage 50. They needed to be separated. Furthermore, we changed our GL codes, so our department codes, and those had to be swapped out. Well, using Copilot in plain language, I was able to say, hey, separate these 2 rows and then swap out the department codes. Here's the new set. And what would have taken, honestly, probably about a month and a half to go through, it was about 20,000 lines of code or 20,000 lines of data to enter, took about 15 minutes. And we were able to then do the bulk upload. So again, I'm a huge fan of how can we integrate the tools we're already using. But it also takes intentionality to engage with it, because with Copilot, you have to turn that on. There is a slight fee to it. You have to be willing to engage and invest in that. With Asana, I petitioned the customer support to give me the AI functions, even though I'm a nonprofit. And they finally said, yeah, that makes sense. So it definitely is something where, unless you're intentional about it, these tools, they're not going to give them to us. They're not going to open this up to nonprofits, but we can be on the same footing. So before I jump in, so those are the 4 tools of the functions. I'm gonna now flip and talk about the same 4 tools on how we can use them for our mission-driven activities. How can we integrate them for our mission-driven activities? But before I do that, I want to open it up and see if there are any questions that I can help facilitate as we're moving forward. Okay.
Like Joe, I'm going to ask a quick one.
Yeah.
Just in the spirit of this is just so amazing, right? And build so many, I'm thinking efficiencies to process. I would say the training and learning curve, right, is a thing. And just briefly, I know that could be a whole nother session, but just around like maybe some guidance on how you go about it. Some of us have technology people on staff, some contractors, some are PDI directors themselves. Like, how would you guide that description so that we can bring people along and we recognize this isn't overnight? This is not an overnight for anyone.
Yeah, so I always love an internal champion, someone that is really excited about the work, because when someone's excited, they're going to spend time at home learning about it personally. They're going to be invested in wanting to see that project from start to finish. And that's where we're going to see that mission connected with technical skills. Now, if we don't have anyone inside of our organization that kind of fits that mold, and I will say as well, that person may not be your technology person. That person may not be the person that's actually behind your IT department. That's really okay. That's completely fine. Now, if we don't have anyone kind of in that champion role, what I would absolutely recommend is reaching out to either, so there's a bunch of people on Fiverr that develop Zapier connections very, very cheap. And so kind of identifying, if I could, what would I connect? You can ask ChatGPT what you can connect, what type of zaps you can make. How can you use Zapier for efficiency? You can look up YouTube videos. You can look up Google lists of different ways to use these tools and then make a decision of this, and this are three things that I want to do right now that I think these could help with efficiency on. So I'm going to spend a little bit to have someone set this up for me, but then I want to learn how to at least maintain what has been developed. So at least that gives you a framework, it gives you a base, and then you can learn those little steps to build upon. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. Thank
Cool.
you.
Okay. So, some examples of AI automation. So social media content creation and dissemination, design marketing materials, workflow automations with Zapier, automated reporting with Copilot, but then also automated reporting with Salesforce AI, donor insight analytics, task automation, fundraising predictions, and meeting summaries. I think the meeting summaries are some of my favorites. Okay, so why should we try this? Why we've now learned about kind of the technical, how this can work. Why should we even try it? These tools do integrate well with nonprofit environments because they cater to common nonprofit needs, such as maximizing efficiency. They focus on some of the areas that all of us are struggling with, and that, we keep saying if we had $1 million, if we had more time, if we had more staff, but these are helping with those routine tasks, providing insight on our data, enabling the creation of really quality professional materials with minimal resources. It's not eliminating jobs, which I think is a big fear when we have these conversations of streamlining workflow. That's not what we're doing. We're helping with automation. We're helping with routine tasks. We're helping with quality and first draft generation. Um, so this alignment with nonprofit operational challenges and goals makes it ideal for optimizing our workflow and improving stakeholder relationships, and ultimately helping our impact with less money, which is what we're trying to do. So, what can Zapier do for me? So, in terms of streamlining workflow, connecting various tools and platforms used by parent centers, such as scheduling appointment with specialists, registering for webinars, collecting feedback through surveys, and ensuring seamless operations. Automating alerts and notifications. So I really like this one. So setting up automated alerts going out to families for important dates, like deadlines for scholarships, applications, parent advisory meetings, advocacy opportunities, and training to keep families informed, right? So you can have Zapier connected to your calendar and shoot that over to your MailChimp so that it's adding dates to send out on your monthly newsletter, so that you're not having to manually go back and forth, look. It can already be building that information. Resource sharing, automatically share new resources, tools, and educational content with families through their preferred communications channel. So if you have a texting platform, again, MailChimp or Constant Contact, sending out information that way. Zapier can also connect content going from ChatGPT over to Canva to create designs for social media. So you can, inside of ChatGPT, say, create 10 short snippets on how parents can advocate for their child around least restrictive environment, and send this to Canva for design. ChatGPT can create it, Zapier can send it to Canva. Canva can start creating it for you. Like, again, this is exposure based. Angela, I see your face. So this is really like exposure of what can happen at a higher level. So
Told
Canva,
you last time, I already had, my brain popping out of my head. So now I'm just, I need to just get a shovel and start cleaning myself up over here. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. It's awesome.
So Canva, engaging with educational content. So creating visually appealing and accessible educational materials, infographics, guides, and that simply help information to be disability friendly, educational. Now, y'all, I think one of the things I want to stress and emphasize. So prior to my life in advocacy, I worked for AP Press as a photojournalist. And I've been master certified in Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Photoshop, and Design Illustrator since I was 16. And I swear, if we keep putting out those flyers that look like they were made on Publisher, like it's showing that early 2000s. But I feel like every interagency meeting I'm a part of, that is still a whole bunch of text and everyone's logo at the bottom or at the top, whichever. And like that's the design style. So I really want us to be thinking about accessibility is not just can a screen reader read this? Accessibility is the willingness for someone to engage in the content we've created. And if you've created content that looks like it was created in the 90s, no one is going to spend the time of day to look at it or use it. So I want us to really be kind of shifting our mindset about that. And Canva is a really great option to help with that. Social media engagement, enhancing online presentation content. Hey, I created this on Canva, this whole presentation, and super easy. I just pulled over a template and then I gave it some prompts and then I added my content. So you want it to be aware, you want Canva to be aware of branded content that raises awareness about disabilities, shares success stories, highlights available resources, driving community engagement support. So this is really, really critical. But again, this is one of those areas that I wish I could do it, and that's the best practice. But do I end up just sharing a bunch of content on my social media from other pages? Or do I end up just posting links and memes and things that I see on my personal page come across because it's just easier? And the answer is it's easier with the way we work right now. But if we're streamlining what we're doing, then this can provide the quality that we want and desire with the ease of what we are doing previously at a lower quality. Then event promotion. We talked about this with your materials and workshops and seminars and getting really eye-catching information out there. So Salesforce, so personalized family engagement, using predictive analytics to understand the needs and preferences of different families, enabling personalized communication and support strategies that resonate with their unique circumstances. So with Einstein and with other forms of AI through CRM systems that are coming out, we're going to be able to say, personalize an email to this family based on the last 4 interactions to touch base and see how they're doing. Here is several documents I think this family would benefit from. Please integrate this into an external email going to them. Based on the last 2 quarters of our data, what are families struggling most with out of the issues field in our cases, interactions, so on? Go ahead, Nora.
It occurred to me on the family engagement one of the things that we've all talked about, and some folks actually do it, is the check back. Was the information that I gave you good? Is there more you want to talk about? That's always one of those things that time and resources couldn't do. I mean, we couldn't do it, but I wonder if that could be a built-in component of that that there's a follow-up, and that it is from how you said it with the other one about if help shows up, it goes into this mode. I bet that would be an awesome way to continue to stay connected
Mhm.
and not have families feel like that, it was a one and done and they got dropped.
And that's a great suggestion, So we implemented that about 2 years ago prior to AI with a very automated or a very manual workflow process that we had to build out through MailChimp. And so we had to build all of these workflow steps to get that automation. And we were able to do it and we were able to connect it to Salesforce, but the whole process took about 6 months to set that up. Now, what I would recommend is connecting to Salesforce, connecting your CRM to Zapier, and then having your Zap be after a new interaction or case or whatever that looks like in your CRM, after the last one, 6 weeks after the last one, 4 weeks after the last one, after the last touch point, send an email requesting feedback. And whether that is a form, whether it's a survey, whether it is just written feedback, or asking, is there anything else that you need? Maybe it's multiple, but then add that back into the CRM and set a task for that case owner, for that contact owner to look at the updated information.
It's also a way to start to track outcomes. I mean, you go to a training, you don't know if it's going to work. The IEP isn't
Yeah.
going to be for 6 months. I mean, that's, to have some triggers in there to be able to look at what difference, what change happened because of the interaction with you. That is really exciting.
And
Now,
so if we
the
were able
people
to
have
have
to
them-
respond. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have, there's that, but that automated piece of X amount of time after something, that
Mhm.
there's a feedback loop that
Yep.
gets triggered.
So one of my favorite phrases. So if we send out a survey to 100 people and 10 people respond, 9 people respond, but all of them have positive things to say, 100% positive things. 100% of those who responded said, and so that always makes me feel better. But um, but I agree with you, Nora. So efficient case management, implementing AI-powered tools through streamlining case management ensures that staff are effectively tracking progress, manage appointments, and follow up on individual needs, like you said. One of the really cool things that Einstein is going to be able to do is help us identify when we are dropping the ball. So is the next step, so is one of your options under that case, next step is send out those emails. Next step is send out those resources. And that hasn't been logged. Einstein is going to be able to help you identify that and then follow up with that family so that family doesn't fall behind the cracks. Community insights, analyze data from interactions with families to gain insights into common challenges, success stories, and areas where additional support is needed. So all of the things that we're talking about right now. So Microsoft Copilot. So Copilot to generate personalized educational materials, guides, resources for families tailored to their specific needs and the needs of their children with disabilities. So this one I sat on for a while because it's powered by ChatGPT. However, I think I would still rather use ChatGPT directly to create the content and then edit from Copilot. But when I copy information from ChatGPT over to Microsoft, over to Word, there's a whole bunch of hashtags, there's dashes, there's irregular formatting, especially when on like ChatGPT, it's got bullet points. Those don't pull over to Word well. Um, so I can ask Copilot, clean this up, take out those things, reformat this for me. Now design this aesthetically in a way where it's going to provide me room for images, space out the text. Now take these 3 paragraphs and break them into bite-sized chunks for bullet points so I can again break up the text. So I'm really manipulating the text that I have as opposed to generating 100% new text from Copilot. So I think that's going to be a really good strategy of how we use this tool. Then effective communication. Automate the creation of emails and newsletters to keep families informed about our resources, workshops. We talked about this. So again, if a family is reaching out via Copilot, now I may not have to use Zapier very quickly. I'm most likely going to be able to have Copilot start drafting responses to all of my emails and not have to have that back and forth from Office 365 to ChatGPT back to Office 365. Copilot's going to be able to start drafting those response emails for me, which is going to be a pretty big next step. Then data analytics. So analyzing feedback and data from families using Excel's capabilities to identify trends, measure impact, and improve services based on additional insights, actionable insights. So I had this one in here because not all CRMs, Angela, what CRM are you guys working on?
We use Salesforce.
Salesforce. Who is using something different? I thought there was a different one that it was mentioned last time.
We're using Zendesk.
Okay. So, do you know if Zendesk is rolling out any AI functions right now?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think they're
Okay.
using additional for them. For most
Yes.
of them, yeah, but
So that might be, so I think in probably a year, the additional AI as an add-on fee is just going to be built into the overall kind of cost of the product. But say that you're not able to budget in for those additional costs right now. Same with Einstein, with Salesforce. It's going to be expensive for the first year or two. I'm not going to lie about that. However, we can download out a report, our data, into an Excel file and ask Copilot to analyze it and identify trends and help us look at some patterns in what we're seeing with these with family outcomes and measures. So I think that's important that we're recognizing we don't have to buy every single AI add-on. We can be smart about this and we can leverage, I'm only going to pay for Microsoft Copilot right now. And I'm going to leverage as much as I can out of this one source. Or I'm going to buy Copilot and Canva, it's already included in the price. You don't pay more for it, but I'm going to leverage those 2 sources together. So just things to think about. So we're at about 50 minutes, and that's kind of the content I have for today. I wanted to leave some time open for conversation at the end. Again, this was a little bit different where it was very focused on kind of 4 tools, but I wanted to illustrate how AI is merging into every single tool we're using, whether we know it or not. And many of those tools are duplicating services, they're duplicating efforts, and it's all part of that subscription-based kind of society we're living in now, right? Um, so I wanted to see what questions y'all have, whether it's about a specific integration or kind of what may be on the horizon or how we can integrate better some of these other tools and pieces of technology. Everyone's so quiet today.
I know, I think they're taking it all in. I guess, Joe, maybe, I guess I have a question because I mean, just speaking from Peak, this is very beginner. Like we've got a lot, we have Salesforce and that's great, but we don't have a lot that integrating, but I guess I'm just curious to see from this group, like, where are you at with this stuff? I know we kind of were talking from the beginner to like now more advanced kind of curriculum, which is Joe is building in this series. I mean, and again, recognizing, and I do appreciate what you said earlier, Joe, because I just wrote a capacity building grant for this stuff, and we just decided on like 3 things, right? And I asked Joe his opinion on that as I was writing to this funder that wanted to fund, technology capacity, but focusing on 3 things, also recognizing our bandwidth and also not to overwhelm. So where are you guys at?
You
Yeah,
know,
go ahead,
Michelle,
Lori.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This
Yeah.
is Laura. I was gonna go back to what you said originally about how you bring, how do you start integrating?
Yeah.
And the internal champion, et cetera. But I wonder if it's maybe worth spending some time with some key staff and having them document some of the steps they have to take. Just really document. A call comes in, and what do you have to do this, so that you have something that says, okay, this takes this amount of time. And if we could get that integrated, and then I think it becomes once we have that information, where do you start? What do you go for first? I mean, I would ask Joe, given that if nobody's using anything and they've got Salesforce, what do you say is the first thing that should be at the top of their charts?
I mean, so I'll tell you, to be honest, Nora, we have 3 departments in FND. We have our special needs trust, we have our accounting department, which is sizable because of our special needs trust, and then we have our federally funded nonprofit programs. And the other 2 departments aren't necessarily as advanced as our programs are. And so what we're doing right now is a workflow audit. So it's exactly what you just said. We're looking at buckets of work and going from the big concept down to the granular. And then we're identifying where there are pressure points in our workflow and how we can streamline those pressure points to allow for more time in each of our schedules, to allow for more time, so that we're not just swamped. So that's what I would really recommend. If an organization has availability, thank you so much. And if an organization has availability, really doing that workflow audit on a small scale to see where they can start with, to open up more time to then investigate these AI tools. If you've got no time whatsoever right now, how are you going to dedicate it to building this out?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's not being overwhelmed at the options out there, of like chasing this one and getting discouraged, and then,
Yeah.
we should have been doing that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Gloria, I
Gloria,
think you
I
were
saw you
about to
picked up.
speak.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know that at Task we are looking at this stuff, definitely, right? Kind of baby steps. I also know that Matthew and Laura are on this call and they're much more tech savvy than I am. However, I'm just hoping that being on these calls, I can start to take in some of this stuff. And when we are ready to strike, I could be more of a contribution, as opposed to just total dead weight, not knowing anything. So I appreciate it, but it is new. And I want to jump to the end result. Like, yes, I want that, do that. But like, I'm really getting the intentionality you need to put into it, what you want to get out of it. It's a process. But I wouldn't know anything if it wasn't for these,
Yeah.
And
And Gloria, are you the director at Task?
I'm a project manager there.
Cool.
Yeah.
One of the things, this is something that struck me recently. We have a new director, a new vice president over our special needs trust administration. And he had said that he's hesitant in rolling out some new platforms until he gets a full and complete grasp on how to use them. And I said, listen, Nelson, you may never have a complete grasp on everything that's going on, but you need to put systems in place that are going to enable your staff to do their job better, to do it more effectively. And so I think that's something that I've really been reflecting on is a barrier point for leaders could be the feeling that they need to be the ones that have that full and complete understanding, because that's what's always been expected from us, right? But we may not have all the answers, and that's really okay. But we know we're putting tools in place that are going to make a difference. Nicole, go ahead.
Yeah, so my quick question is, there is a couple of two-parter questions. So we obviously, like I said, we come from Silicon Valley, all the tech in the world, right? But sometimes our staff has a little bit of a time learning our new tools and stuff like that. So especially when it comes to like we transferred from Donor Perfect to Salesforce a couple years, like 4 years ago, and now we're looking at a texting app that can help us in Salesforce through I think it's Mowgli or something. But they were suggesting that that would be a good one, because if we do AI for Salesforce, that's really going to help us with our text. Like, what are we sending
Yeah.
out to parents and generating responses and stuff like that. So I do understand that, but if we do have the funding, if we do have the time, how difficult do you think this is for everyday staff, our line staff, to really implement this in their work, right? With the various levels of technology ability in our agencies.
So, so I think some of these things are going to, so I'll give you Zapier, for example. Right now, we've got 2 people on staff that are really proficient at Zapier, and they're helping other staff members. They're teaching some core competency. They're having some open office hours, really on an off and on basis to be able to just act as a resource, right? Um, but with ChatGPT, we have 100% staff adoption. But it took it took 3 days of full staff training to be able to carve out and get people comfortable with it.
Mhm.
Now, for a texting AI kind of situation, I would probably say texting one-on-one. So like a individual frontline staff member, I may say, hey, stick with that one-on-one texting, but use that AI function to help organize your thoughts.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, I may teach the director of that because you've got multiple PTIs like us, right?
We have one PTI, but we have, one PTI, but we're a
Okay.
collaborative. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for your PTI director, I may teach them how to send out bulk text messaging through that AI integration tool. Because you want to have that scaffolded a little bit. I wouldn't want, or at least I wouldn't want my frontline parent trainers sending out bulk emails and bulk text messages, just in case it may not be the best messaging. That one-on-one support's a little bit different than going out to 600.
Mhm.
Um, and then I would work with, if you have anyone that works in communications, I would also work with them on, is there a branding or a language set that, like, do you always want to talk in the second person? Do you always want to kind of have this tone to your voice? And then how can you have that be part of those prompts that are built in on the back end? As much as you can, you want to build in those custom instructions into the back end of any of these systems so staff have less to think about
Mhm.
and they can just use it as a natural language model.
Okay. Yeah, because I am the PTI director, but we do have a marketing manager, and we have a Salesforce person as well. So they would probably have to work very closely on those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to figure out like staff timing, because I think we learned Salesforce very quick, our team,
Mhm.
but it still took probably a good week of them just dedicated to Salesforce before they even got the hang of it, right? So I just think that those kind of things are helpful. But I do like the tools for the everyday work, like how to make a presentation more um easier and quicker. We don't do a lot of like words on our presentation, so we do
Yeah.
workbooks. So I don't want them to have my exact notes, but I want them to take my notes and summarize them into 3 bulleted points for families, right? So I really appreciate like how to make everyday things, but I'm thinking the timing is always money, but timing is the second. Staff timing is, the next concern. So thank you.
And that might be, I would recommend as well what I was talking about with Nora of identifying buckets of work, whether it is, so I've got staff management as a bucket. I've got presentations, conferences, and workshops and webinars. I've got individualized assistance. I've got material development. And then we've got what else? Like, so whatever buckets you're working on, drill all the way down to not what you should be doing or what is perfect to do, but what are you guys actually doing right now for all of your processes? That in itself is going to take a day or two of just dedicated time. But in doing that, you're going to identify a number of places that you can streamline what you're doing as an organization, as a PTI, as a CPRC, and be able to identify where can these various tools be plugged in. And once you plug one in, it's going to open up some time to dedicate to that larger project, down the road.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we are at time. So are we at time? Yes, okay. So if y'all have any feedback for how the first 2 sessions have gone and you would like to see the 3rd session go in a specific way, please reach out. Please provide that to Michelle, to Angela, to Tony, to the team. I would love to make sure that the final session is tailored to what you guys want and need. Again, it is going to be a little bit more advanced than this one, but I want to make it as interactive as possible, and I want us to actually be creating something. So let me know what you guys have thought, and y'all have been a blast to work with again.
Yeah. And real quick, just to kind of piggyback on that, remember we are planning to have Joe in Boise with us in June. So actually Angela, Tony, and I very timely are going to be meeting on Monday to kind of really be finalizing, mapping out our agenda and some of the stuff. So any feedback or thoughts, like as Joe had said, even not just for the next session, but for that in-person time, that will really help us frame, our time with Joe and what, we were thinking on some hands-on stuff for sure and what that looks like, but just any thoughts, just shoot Tony, myself, or Angela an email, or all of us an email, and we can kind of work through that as we work with Joe on formulating. But we're very excited to have Joe with us in June as well.
Awesome.
Don't we all just need a Joe LaBelle in our pocket? Oh God. Oh, this is so much.
It led me
Yeah.
to ask for a grant now for this stuff. And again, starting small and
Right.
to think through that timeline, as you were saying, Nancy, a little bit around how we can wrap our heads around some training and development and put some, for some funders that want to build some capacity building opportunities. So
Yeah, and making sure that we're all not just, jumping into absolutely everything all at once, like, and the duplication, right? I mean, what's already being done? What's free that we already have access to that we don't even know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. So good.
Awesome. And remember, guys, as Tony sends out surveys and stuff for all this, will probably come at the end after Joe's done. We just encourage you to fill it out. We want better participation for our evaluations. So, all right.
Thank
With
you
that
all.
said, thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it. And good
Bye.
stuff. All right.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.